Chapter 20. An Identification. When Nancy and Ned reached Bald Head Cliff in the motorboat, they could not find a trace of A.H. They had no way of knowing whether or not he had ventured into the cave. "Say, who is that up there on the cliff?" Ned demanded suddenly. He pointed to a short figure on the high rocks, peering intently at them through a telescope. It was not Mr. Hendrick, as George had thought the time she and her friends had seen a man on the cliff with a telescope. "He certainly looks familiar," Nancy remarked. "Why is he watching us, I wonder?" Her attention was distracted by a flash of white near the cave entrance. Distinctly she saw a ghostly figure retreat into its dark interior. Within a few moments, a bell from within the cave started to toll. "The warning!" Nancy exclaimed. "Oh, what if A.H. is inside?" Should this be true, it was too late to do anything to save the man. Fearfully, Ned and Nancy watched as water began to boil from the entrance. A box floated clear, but to their intense relief, no body or overturned boat was washed from the cave. Convinced that A.H. could not have been trapped by the flood waters, Nancy sighed in relief and suggested that they climb the cliff to question the man with the telescope. "He may be able to answer a lot of questions about this place," she said. Accordingly, Ned anchored the boat, and the couple waded ashore. They climbed the rocks, using the path up which Nancy had gone before. But when they reached the top, the man had disappeared. They walked around, but could not find him. "Show me the place where you went to sleep that time," Ned suggested. Nancy ran ahead, searching for the exact spot. When she thought she had located it, the girl paused to catch her breath. Presently she began to feel a trifle dizzy from her exertion. The blue sky above seemed suddenly misty, as if a film had dropped over her eyes. Vaguely she recalled that the same symptoms had overtaken her the first day she had visited the cliff. "Ned!" she called in a weak voice. "Ned!" He ran quickly toward her. One glance at her face told him something was seriously wrong. "It's probably the climb," he said solicitously. "I'll carry you to the beach and you'll feel okay." He quickly lifted her up in his arms and worked his way down the steep slope. By the time they reached the beach, Nancy seemed better. "Why, I don't know what came over me," she apologized, deeply embarrassed. "I've never had spells like this before." Ned insisted upon their going home at once so she could rest, but after he had left Mrs. Chantry's, Nancy subjected herself to a severe athletic test. She raced up and down stairs 4 times without pausing. George and Bess, who entered the cottage unexpectedly, stared at her in amazement. "I'm not crazy," laughed Nancy. "I'm only trying to determine if I get fainting or dizzy spells after strenuous exertion." "You're a star athlete, if you ask me," retorted George. "Why, you're not even breathing very hard." "I feel fine. This test certainly proves I'm all right. But there was something queer about the way I nearly fainted while on Bald Head Cliff. Twice while up there I became very drowsy, almost as if I'd been drugged. Do you suppose some gas could have escaped from crevices in the rocks where I was standing?" She had noted no unusual odor other than a sweet one like that of the wild flowers on the cliff, and was unable to offer a satisfactory theory for the strange symptoms she had experienced. Bess and George agreed with her that the overexertion of the steep climb could not have caused them. Later that afternoon, at Nancy's suggestion, the 3 girls called upon Mother Matilda to ask her if she knew anything about the cliff that might throw some light on the girls' experience. To their disappointment, the woman could offer no explanation. She assured them the cliff area always had been considered a healthful place in which to live. So far as she knew, no gases or deadly fumes had ever exuded from crevices in the rocks. "I'm glad you dropped in," the elderly candlemaker said. "When you were here the other day, I forgot to tell you about Amy McGuire." "A daughter of the McGuires who lived on the cliff?" Nancy inquired. "Yes, she was an adopted daughter. Amy was a wild one, and not really a McGuire, although she took the name. As long as Grandpa McGuire was alive, she behaved herself pretty well. After his passing, she made her adopted ma a heap of trouble, running off to marry a no-good." "Someone you knew?" "No, and I never did hear his name, nor what became of the couple. But I know her adopted ma was heartbroken, and her pa took it kind of hard, too. They never mixed with other folks after that." As the girls rose to leave, the old lady timidly inquired if any progress had been made in tracing Monsieur Papier, the Moncure stock swindler. Nancy assured her that Mr. Drew was working on the case. "We have good reason to think both he and Madame may be caught within the next few days," she added. "I hope he's sent to jail for at least 20 years, and that she's punished too. Will I get my money back, do you think, or will the scamp have spent it?" "No one can tell that until they're caught, but let's hope you'll recover part of it at least." Nancy's words cheered the old lady. Grateful to the girls for taking so much interest in her troubled affairs, she insisted upon presenting each of them with a dozen delicately perfumed candles. "I used good perfume this time, and the entire batch turned out perfectly," she declared proudly. A little later at the Chantry cottage, Nancy learned from Juno that during her absence she had received a telephone call from Yorktown. Knowing that it was from her father, she stayed indoors for the next hour, and as she had expected, he telephoned her again. "Nancy, I've been trying to get you," he began in an excited voice. "How soon can you reach Yorktown?" "Why, I don't know," she replied. "You have my roadster, and Ned's car is in the garage being fixed." "Then catch the first train you can," the lawyer instructed. "The police are holding that Senora you heard about. She may be the seller of Moncure perfume. You're needed to identify her." "I'll come as fast as I can," Nancy promised. With the assistance of George and Bess, she packed a few belongings into an overnight bag and consulted timetables. The only train to Yorktown that evening was a local which stopped at every station. "I have no choice but to take it," Nancy sighed. "It will be a tiresome trip." As it developed, the journey was not tiresome, but proved to be both pleasant and profitable. Soon after the girl had settled herself in a coach, Bert Hamilton sauntered in. "Hello," said the young chemist who had analyzed the Moncure cosmetics, and sat down beside her. During the ride, the young people kept each other company. The chemist displayed keen interest when Nancy steered the conversation to her recent experience at Baldhead Cliff. He looked serious when she revealed her theory that her drowsiness might have come from inhaling some strange fumes. "I could mention several kinds which have no noticeable odor, and others with a sweet odor," Bert said, "but I've never heard of any near Whitecap Bay." The slow train finally reached Yorktown. With reluctance, for she really had enjoyed the long chat, Nancy said goodbye to Bert. Descending from the coach, she looked about for her father. He was not at the station to meet her, so she went directly to police headquarters. As Nancy entered the building, she saw the lawyer talking to the desk sergeant. He turned and, seeing her, rushed across the room. "I'm glad you're here, Nancy," he exclaimed. "If you're able to identify the prisoner, we may crack the case." "Where is the woman, Dad?" "She's in a cell now, but you'll have to select her from a lineup. Think you can do it?" "I'll try." "The woman will not be wearing a costume, which may confuse you," Mr. Drew warned. "You'll be given only one chance to identify her. If you fail, the police will have to let her go." "If I've ever seen the woman before, I think I'll recognize her," Nancy said quietly. Tell the police I'm ready. Until next time.